Hey everybody, welcome to episode 12 of the Ask Engine show. We're excited to jump in, gearing towards the end of the week. We've got three really strong questions that I'm excited about, so we're going to jump in and get those answered and get started.
Yeah, this first user of the r/startup subreddit is asking, I have three business ideas and would love some help with deciding which one to pursue. The first is an online shop and dropship business through AliExpress in a spirituality niche. The second is a resume writing service that they kind of identify heavily with, as they're very good at writing and creating resumes. And the third is a content and copywriting agency, and they want to target a specific industry and do some B2B kind of growth there. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about kind of how to choose which one to pursue, lining that up with your interests, and finding the one that's going to resonate most with what you love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so to give you all some context, because it's a long question, I like where his head's at because he goes and lists the pros and cons of each. He talks about what he's done so far. He's talked about creating just 3 landing pages and see which one resonates. I think he's going about it in a very analytical way. But I think that you've kind of missed the boat here on the first question you should ask, and that is, what in this world can you do better than anyone else in the world can? And that should be the driving force for what you want to do. A lot of these businesses that he's listing, resume writing and copy and content copywriting agency, those are service businesses. Yes, they have, low starting costs. Obviously, there's none. It's just you and, if you have to put a website up, things like that. But it also is going to take a long time for you to grow in that space, which is okay based around your ambition. So that's the first thing I would ask you is, what can you uniquely do? What skills do you have that you possess that differentiate you in the marketplace? Because ultimately, all three of these things, there's no differentiation factor of just the job itself. You are what is going to be unique about it. So whatever you're doing, I would recommend niching down even further. So, dropshipping from AliExpress, we are an e-commerce platform, and I can tell you from a longevity standpoint, I do not recommend anyone to jump into that space who's wanting to build something that they're going to depend on.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk about that really quickly.
Yeah, if you're looking to build an arbitrage opportunity to make yourself money in the short term, I think that kind of dropshipping model of finding a niche and blasting Facebook ads is right there. But if you're looking to create a business that's healthy, sustainable, grows, and creates jobs, that is not the right way to approach it. I would look towards the other two if you're looking to create a sustainable business rather than an arbitrage opportunity.
Mm-hmm. And then for resume writing and content copywriting, find a vertical that's underserved. So he mentions and talks about he's been looking at Google Keyword Planner. He's been looking at trends, which is great consumer research, consumer insights. But think about what you want to talk about. So for Blake, for example, I think that you would do a content copywriting agency focused on people who create games, people who are into Star Wars, things of that nature. Like, niche down to where you are serving a very small market in the beginning, because you can always grow out of that, but you need to have, like, if you go and say, I write copy and content, great, who do you write it for? Everybody.
Well, in 0 to 1, I know John and I both have the same kind of feelings about this book, but one of the things that I did pull from it that I liked was owning the smallest possible niche you can get down into. Mm-hmm. So targeting even within, like, when you think you have found your smallest kind of B2B opportunity that I'm targeting, local plumbers, that kind of thing, target it even further and own that side of it.
Mm-hmm. What is you and John's problem with Peter Thiel?
No, I don't have a problem with Peter Thiel at all. I feel like just 0 to 1 I have a couple of problems with, but there are great learnings in it, but I feel like it's just a little too self-referential, and I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it. Good book, still a good read.
That's fair. I think it's hard, and this is kind of going. So to wrap up this question, then we'll go into that topic. I think that you're in a great place when it comes to how analytical you're thinking about it. But at the end of the day, you've got to do something. If you're trying to build a business that's sustainable, that you're going to do more than 18 to 12 months, then you need to put a little bit more thought into it, because ultimately it sounds like you're kind of just grasping at what's popping right now, instead of really putting some thought into something that you can come in and create an impact on the people you're serving, or whatever that is. So that's to put a pin in that. Back to this Peter Thiel conversation. I think it's really hard not to not to talk about yourself when you've done the things that he's done, because like that's his frame of reference, which is really interesting.
Sure. And I don't have a problem with him talking about himself. I'm talking about more about the book being a little bit self-referential. As you continue on in it, it becomes very like, if you go back earlier to here, and that's just not my style of learning or reading. Yeah,
that's fair.
Our next question is from r/marketing, and this is a marketing student graduating, I guess, in May of 2018, and they need career advice. They're looking for some advice on how to break into the marketing industry. They've been applying to companies looking for jobs and not having luck. So how can we help them out?
Yeah, so, I'm excited. Like, we just hired not really our first, but like one of the first people that's still in college now that's going to be coming on and filling a void that we have at the company. And when it comes to hiring and jumping into marketing, the first thing you need to realize is what type of agency do you want to work for? And what I mean by that is there are a lot of agencies that are not great places to work, and then there's agencies that are amazing places to work. You need to think about, do you want to be in traditional? Do you want to be in print? Do you want to be in digital? If you are in digital, do you want to work with an agency that actually knows what they're doing, or an agency that just does programmatic banner retargeting and thinks the Google Partner Network is the best thing since sliced bread? And yes, that is a stab at certain agencies. And then he goes into, and this is why I really like this question, I worked in customer service, retail sales, and he talks about his experience, but he says most of what seems to be available are sales jobs, which I don't particularly enjoy. I'm going to challenge you on this. If it's an agency that you want to work for, getting in scrubbing the floors is better than not getting in. And so thinking about, not everybody gets to jump in and be the marketing director for a company. Not everybody gets to jump in and be the media buyer. You might have to start in a sales position, but starting in a sales position, number one, allows you to learn about the company, learn about the media that you're selling, the likes, the dislikes, and what the customer wants, and it allows you to segue into other opportunities. So for me, if it was an agency I wanted to work for, I would take a janitorial position there, and then I would make sure that I was in the CEO's office, or I was in the head media buyer's office cleaning their trash can and talking to them about media. So take an opportunity where you can find it. Not everybody is built for sales. You might not love sales, but you do sales for 3 months, you do it really well, and then you move laterally in the position itself. So I would recommend that. Ways to actually get into it, be fun, be unique, shoot a video if that's what you do.
I got internship on internship inside my resume.
Create a collage if that's what you do. Find ways to differentiate yourself to where you're not just a name on a piece of paper. Do something to make yourself stand out based around your own unique skills or whatever that is.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. So our last question is about the transition from Ecom 2.0 to Ecom 3.0. And this user asks or states that e-commerce has come a long way since kind of first gen static Yahoo stores, moving to mobile responsive, and now we're kind of seeing this wave of chatbots and content. Should we care about e-commerce 3.0? Should we go all in yet? I think the user is just kind of hinting at what should you really care about in this new wave of e-commerce that's emerging. I would say you need to pay very close attention to it. I would not say go all in on every trend that you see, but test cautiously and see what performs best for your site. But if you see large players and people being really successful with these chatbots or trends like that, there's a reason they're working. So embrace it and find a way to make it work for your site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you can speak much more from a technical side, but I think of it as you've got to taste things, and you've got to realize, especially for the people that, when I think of e-commerce businesses, I'm thinking much more along the lines of companies that are wanting to build brands that are digitally native, that are vertically integrated. You've got to taste these things. It's like buying up beachfront property is what a lot of people say. If it comes in and chatbot is a new thing, I think about it as how can I use this technology for the benefit of my customer or for my internal benefit. A lot of people don't realize that chat and things of that nature can just really help organize and streamline internal processes, even if it's not an external thing yet. I mean, for me, VR and AR, VR especially, I think business applications within a VR context are much more relevant than consumer VR. I mean, I don't know anyone who spends longer than 20-30 minutes in VR a day.
Yeah, you're not going to shop a site for
Yeah.
clothes in VR.
Yeah.
That's going to be applied internally for product development or research purposes.
Exactly.
I think the same thing with chatbots. I mean, I've seen a bunch of great consumer-facing ones, but we have some with some internal clients of ours that they've seen better kind of processes streamlined on the customer service side of using chatbots to filter down what actually reaches a human. And if you can answer most of your questions that your customers are asking through chatbots, think about the time you can free up from your CS people's standpoint.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the last thing on here is that you should be tasting everything. And from allocation of time, allocation of budget, a very good way to stay is 70% tried and true, 30% experimental. So there's nothing wrong with you being a first mover in a chatbot space. If it succeeds, great. If it fails, great. You still learn something. So don't bet the farm on things that are not tried and true. I mean, it's the reason that we still do email every day. I mean, email is not an exciting new form of marketing, but it works, and so you invest in that. So you have your egg, you have your nest egg. That's what I was looking for, and then you're able to test and try things. And then if it works, great. If it doesn't, it's a data point that you learn from.
Well, and you don't want to be just a trend follower either. Like if I land on an e-com site and they're like now accepting Bitcoin and Ethereum and Dogecoin, and we have a chatbot, and you can preview our products in VR. That's not probably tested out. That's them following every single trend they see popping up. I would rather the site be streamlined and follow something that's proven that works for their brand, rather than just have all of these features blowing up in my face.
Yeah, unless you're so like for the cryptocurrency things we were talking about earlier, unless your audience would find that appealing, like even if it's a novelty or if it's a gimmick, if you're dealing with a very tech forward, tech savvy person as your consumer, offer it because it increases or enhances the user experience.
Sure.
But just throwing everything on there, it's definitely...
Hobby Lobby's not going to have now accepting Bitcoin on it ever. Yeah, you can quote me on that. So
awesome. Well, guys, thank y'all so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.